But don't be ashamed if you get confused when you talk to your friends or you watch the news. They try to tell you where it all went wrong. Now you don't need to argue, just sing this song. It was rich people stacking the deck, rich people with big fat checks, rich people, they're having a ball, rich people been us all.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Eat the Rich. I am Emily Walsh, and I'm here with my co-host and husband, Danny Moss.
That's me, tootly totally.
Tootly totally. Oh boy.
I really, once again, did not come up with a thing to say moments before.
And it's interesting because
Sometimes
we've
I
been
nail
doing
it.
this for
Sometimes I nail
over
it.
2 years, and sometimes you're like, and sometimes you're like, what is a podcast? And it's a wild
I just
ride.
like to keep everybody on their toes.
You are keeping me on my toes.
Yeah.
I have been on my toes for 12 years. They're very strong. Yeah, so let's wrap up this famine.
It happens. It's fun, nice ending.
No.
Everybody's doing okay.
No.
All the people that died came back to life.
No.
Magic potatoes.
No.
Sadness. More sadness to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be drinking whiskey again.
Yes.
The red.
What's it called? Raw dogging life. What's that?
It is when you raw dog a flight.
Yeah, that's
it's
what I'm
when
talking
you
about.
don't
Yeah.
have any entertainment.
Which
or-
I don't love as a phrase.
No, I hate it at all. I hate that you said it. I hate it. But
I'm
yeah,
just trying to get in touch with the manosphere.
Sure.
I feel like we don't talk to them enough.
and we're going two different paths.
They need help, is what I'm saying.
Not for me. That is not my job.
Yeah, no, fair.
That is not my job.
Yeah.
But yeah, you drank with the young fellows this
I
weekend.
did. Yeah.
And
I flew,
you flew
real close to the sun.
so close to the sun.
I haven't been that drunk in a very long time.
Yeah, you sent me a text that was like, "I'm having a good time, but also, do you love me?"
I don't recall that.
Yeah, I was a
don't
little
recall
worried,
that. Yeah.
but I was like, I checked your location and your little
What'd you
circle
say?
was.
Because I don't remember reading the answer either.
Oh, I said I love you.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh,
What
good.
a monster! Pretty sure I sent you a picture of Frankie and said, "I hope you're having fun."
That's nice.
Yeah, I'm nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you flew a little too close to the sun.
Yeah. And
That
now
might
we're
be
here.
me next week because I'm going to the other half of that
That's right. That's your
bachelorette
chance.
party.
If you want to send me cryptic texts,
I'm sure I will.
Feel free.
I'm sure I will. Longest time I'm going to be away from the Frankster since she was born.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to sleep.
We're just going to
But
swap
also-
stories about how much we love you the whole time.
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's going to be like, You're going to be like, yeah. It's yeah. But
Our baby has learned the Sims language.
yes, she
pretty cool.
sounds like if the adults on Charlie Brown were children. Just
Yeah.
A lot of emphatic talking.
Very
Where she's
emphatic.
saying nothing other
Nonsense.
than da-da.
Dada.
But
She also she says dada a lot with you. She says mama a lot with me in a way that is desperate.
just break her
She's just like,
to me.
I don't like you, and I want mama. It's just kind of how she says it. It's the subtext.
She is in a new phase where
Yeah.
literally no one can hold a candle to me.
No.
Which is
Which makes sense.
it's more stressful than I thought.
Yeah, I hear you.
You like think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
But she's like a stalker. Like she's like a super
She
fan.
doesn't know where you sleep.
She knows where I sleep,
Yeah.
and she doesn't let me sleep,
No.
and I live in fear.
Mm-hmm.
And she's has no concept of personal space.
No. It's a good thing she doesn't know how to use cameras.
Not yet.
Not yet.
That's actually not true. She's taken a selfie on my phone. But yeah, she's asleep.
Yeah.
It is Monday night for all those
I
people.
just had to check the monitor to make sure that was still true. Because we don't like to lie to you.
But she's sleeping. I had a morning coffee and a night coffee.
I had 2 morning
6
coffees.
p.m. coffee.
And a night coffee.
Night coffee.
Night.
Late.
Knight in shining armor.
I'm
That's a different thing.
a little worried about falling asleep later, but not that worried
Yeah.
because We're tired. But yeah, this is we're gonna wrap it up. I promise. This is the end.
Yeah.
It might be another 2-hour episode, but this is the end.
We'll see whether my reluctance to drink whiskey maintains.
Yeah.
This. Yeah.
Honestly, I was gonna lie to you. I was gonna say not as many haunting anecdotes, and then like 2 popped into my head, and I was like, never mind.
Yeah, you teed up the last episode with some real ominous stuff. So,
girl, we're gonna start ominous. We're gonna end ominous. But yeah, we're wrapping it up. So we've had 46 and 47, 18 version. 1846, 1847.
right.
Were
sure.
the 2 big old blight years.
Big bad years.
And we're coming up on the next year, and the Dublin newspapers are saying things aren't looking so good.
Yeah.
So
I'm just proud of them for still printing the newspaper.
getting up every day and putting one foot in front of the other.
There, they just, pamphlets.
Yeah.
It's their one true love.
They love paper products.
Yeah.
But yeah, the a very large amount of people are realizing it might be time to check out of this death hotel.
Okay.
It might be time to move.
Yeah.
It might be time to go. So in 1846, the first year of this famine, 116,000 people left Ireland. But in 1847, 365,000
Okay.
left. 215 to North America, 150,000 to Britain.
Wow.
There were people that had literally never traveled 5 miles in their lives going to America.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts that they were just like, I got to get way out of here.
That's how bad it is.
I mean, to be honest, I would have been pretty mad at the British. I think it would have been like, either I'm going to go there and like poop in their mailbox, or I'm going all the way across the world.
Pooping in their mailbox is honestly closer than I think you intended to be and what happens.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's fun.
It was getting rough. There was the Times, the newspaper printed, a Celtic Irishman will be as rare in Connemara as the Red Indian on the shore of Manhattan. So basically like, hey, used to be your home. They won't be there anymore.
They're getting out of here.
And some people are really excited. For some reason, we know who Oscar Wilde's mom is, Miss Jane Elgie, and she was very happy to see the Gaelic-speaking peasants and their language leave, saying, "No new light of thought has flashed through the Irish language for 1,000 years."
Okay, Oscar
So she's
Wilde's
just
mom.
being a bee.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't look up any further who she was. Why would care? She's just
not
a bee.
really. Not really taking a pulse of what's going on in the world.
Just being
She's
a
just
bee.
like, get them out of here.
Just being a
like
bee.
I don't care that so many of them died.
Nope. Landlords are also very happy to see people starting to leave, because for every person that was gone, it would lower their personal poor rate. Because remember the taxes, they're expecting them to
it's
pay
so
the money.
hard to be a
Hard to
landlord.
the monies, because you have to give some of the monies away.
I don't like giving the monies away.
Yeah, but
even
also
though people are dying.
Everybody who leaves, they also can consolidate their land. So they're getting bigger parcels of land, and they're not having to pay as many
because
taxes.
a lot of the people that are leaving are these small landowners.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And some people, like Stewart and Kincaid, who were estate agents, advised landlords to start offering their poorer tenants free passage to Canada, calling them dead weight.
Ooh.
One landowner calculated.
Are we doing phrasing? You got to work on that, guys.
Oh, a lot of people are calling them dead weight, and they are
No.
dead, and they weigh very little because they're hungry
Yeah.
and dead. Soul weighs 7 pounds. That's what they say.
Oh.
So one of the landowners calculated that it would be half the cost he was paying for his tenants to be in the local workhouse as it was to charter ships himself. So people are packing up their tenants, and the people who couldn't afford transcontinental passage sent their tenants to Liverpool. They were like, just go to Britain. That's at least far away from here. And some other wealthy people were just giving out tickets on the docks. They were approaching teenagers in workhouses, being like, do you want to leave?
What
Do you want to stop being a burden?
Like, oh, God, you could have just spent that money making it so that they weren't so reliant on potatoes.
Yeah. Other people who didn't have landlords started appealing to their families if they had any elsewhere. Some of them literally saying, like, don't let us die of hunger. Can you please help me get to where you are? There's at least some potatoes there. And some villages lost up to a third of their population in the spring of 1847.
Wow.
Only 1 in 3 Irishmen born in Ireland around 1831, so people who were like 15 to 20 at this time, would die in Ireland of old age.
Wow. Okay.
1 in 3.
Yeah.
People wanted to leave so badly or needed to leave so badly. Some of them left without luggage, money, shoes. Some of them left out of ports that weren't used very much, on ships that weren't very safe. Some of them left without any food when you needed 8 weeks of provisions to survive the passage.
Oh, boy.
Most people had to go east first in order to go west to Liverpool, which they thought was a bad omen. And Liverpool itself was a city full of vices that had direct passage to the United States and was usually the cheapest way to North America for the Irish. And the quickest passage to Liverpool was 11 hours, but it usually took between 20 hours and 4 days just to get to Liverpool. So this moment, I did look up my own family.
Oh, okay.
I spent about an hour on a free trial of Ancestry.com, and I learned that my great-grandparents on my dad's side, his maternal grandparents,
Okay.
so my dad's mom's parents,
Sure.
John Horan, and Mary
I'll buy
Kennedy, emigrated to America in 1847.
Kennedy.
So this year,
Wait, this year.
1847.
To get, probably because of potatoes.
Well, they came from Cork, so
Yeah, they had to-
probably.
Okay, well, welcome.
Yeah, and
Glad to
his
have you.
dad's side came in 1860, so not that far later.
Yeah, okay.
And then my mom's grandparents on her mom's side came in 1903, and her dad's side around the same time as well. So,
Okay.
yeah, so it seems like I do have at least two ancestors. Are they ancestors in the 1800s? Family members?
Yeah.
Whatever.
They're at
Generation?
Yeah, I think ancestors is right.
Yeah, there are
I was
people.
going to call him kin, but I think kin is alive.
Yeah, there are people that I'm related to that emigrated during the famine from Ireland.
Sure.
So
You got potato
that's
sadness in your
interesting.
blood.
I have potato sadness in my blood. That's how I was gonna say it.
I thought maybe that makes sense. Yeah.
Wow,
wonder
that's
if
my
I
next tattoo. Just a sweeping potato.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
like really on board with
Yeah.
that.
Oh, I was trying to decide whether I had potato sadness in my blood.
We could. I still have. I got 13 more days of Ancestry.com
Okay, great.
if you want to find out.
Yeah. Do you think is that a category that you can look up on the Ancestry.com?
You just look up potato status. Well, it's
Yeah.
going to take a while for us to get to there because my family, there's only 3 generations away from this famine. Your family has about 19 generations between now and then.
Yeah, because I don't know when they came over. Those crazy kids.
Well, I'm also just, your family's young.
Yeah, they're
You
young.
get more frequent generations.
Ah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, we took gaps.
You took a leap year.
Yeah, we took some leap years.
Yeah.
But anywho,
I guess gap year.
I said what I said.
Yep.
But don't feel too bad for Liverpool in this influx because
Okay.
that's where the market was that was manipulating the Irish prices.
Oh, okay.
So-
So they reap what they sow.
They reap what they sow,
Yeah.
which is not much.
Much. There's no P in this Liverpool. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So Melville said, of all the seaports in the world, Liverpool perhaps most abounds in all the variety of land sharks, land rats, and other vermin, which makes the helpless their prey. You don't want
Not-
land sharks,
Street sharks, maybe, because they kind of are vigilante justice crime fighters, I think.
but land sharks,
Land sharks, no good.
not so good.
Not good.
Basically, men would wait by the dock. They called them runners, and some of them were fully just gang members, like the Gang of 40 Thieves. And
Alibaba? And the
yeah,
40 Thieves?
yeah, definitely,
Same.
it was Alibaba. Same. That's what I'm talking about. And small farm owners with a little bit of money would arrive, and people could pretty much just help them out and earn a 7.5% commission by helping them buy their transatlantic passage. They could earn a little bit of commission from an innkeeper by taking them there to stay.
Okay.
So that was like
That was some of them.
shady, but for the poor who didn't speak English but just spoke Gaelic and were very Irish or very Irish, they were very Irish, but also innocent and illiterate, the 3 other I words, they could be completely tricked. Some of them were sold children's tickets or canceled tickets. Sometimes they would be sold a ticket to a ship that would be delayed 3 or 4 weeks and they'd run out of their money staying in a boarding house. Like they were fully being bamboozled.
Which also is maybe why half of those people stayed in Liverpool.
Yeah,
'Cause-
because they literally couldn't
Yeah.
get anywhere else. And before the famine, Liverpool had a higher municipal death rate than London. So people dying, just for record of death, basically, 36 per 1,000 versus London's 22 per 1,000. But it got even worse, obviously,
Yeah.
with the famine.
Yeah.
But the Irish immigrants who showed up there, described by a doctor in Liverpool, were the, quote, least clean in their habits, the most apathetic about everything that befalls them.
Screw you, dude.
And the most resistant to being removed to hospital.
You're the worst, my guy.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
there's probably a reason why they don't trust institutions, because the institutions that they knew completely
failed
screwed them
them.
over.
Yeah. They had these cellars, like basements, that used to be where dock workers had lived, and they were like gross and horrible.
Mm-hmm.
So they closed them 6 years ago. But then they were like, wait, all these people are here. You know what? We
got
have
these stanky cellars.
filthy basements.
Yeah.
So they reopened them and they crammed them full of people and typhus. So that's fun.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, golly, we've got this extra typhus to just,
Toss in the
toss it on
basement.
in there.
So cemeteries were so crowded that, quote, the dead are taken by relatives at all hours of the day and sometimes at night in coffins, sometimes nailed, sometimes not. And if the gates happen to be closed, corpses are put over the walls. So they're just flopping bodies around.
Oh, pass.
Yeah,
Emily
it's.
Walsh,
I mean,
pass.
that's
Yeah.
I
No,
told you it
it's
was
not
good.
not good.
Yeah, by late spring, out of the 250,000 people in Liverpool, there were 60,000 cases of fever, 40,000 of dysentery, 60,000 of diarrhea, and 7,000 dead by the end of the year. The Removal Act was supposed to expedite the deportation of the Irish paupers, but they couldn't get government funds or a ban on Irish immigration. And they said that the scum of Ireland come to Liverpool and die in thousands is true, but whose fault is that? They're kind of just like, sorry, buds.
Yeah.
You reap what you sow. So going to Liverpool in general was kind of a rude awakening for a lot of Irish people.
Okay.
Before they went, most of them had a lot of pride in their town or their region where they came from, in the Irish storytelling, in poets, all these sorts of things. They had their pride. They had self-worth.
Yeah.
And the Irish there's a concept that he talks a lot about in the book where like an Irishman knows that any quality of man can be outmatched by life, which is like, you're not like a bad person if something bad happens to you. You're not a good person if good things happen. Like it's your life is,
life
life be lifing.
Life do be lifing.
Sometimes you get outmatched.
Yeah.
So that's kind of their outlook on this whole situation, but then they were shown what they called the Liverpool mirror. Like they were looked upon themselves in a different light because everyone in Liverpool made fun of their rags and their clothing. People would shy away from them, look away from them.
They just spent years of being in the middle of a famine
Literally.
that was a little made worse by this town.
Yeah. No, it was bad. They were very rude. So when they went to buy their tickets, the fare could change by the hour. They would go check and see what it was that day. They would get their fare. Then they'd have to go to a medical tent where the entire exam was sticking out your tongue. Because apparently a lot of infectious diseases show up on your tongue. But that was it. And some people, maybe they had their buddy go stick out their tongue for them.
Right.
Because there's no IDs, there's no checking.
They already
there's
bought
no,
the ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the vibe on the ships was kind of fun at first. People would play music on the decks, and people in rowboats would try to deliver latecomers to the boat, and it was kind of like a send-off type of vibe.
Yeah.
But the actual
we've all seen
experience
the dancing scene in
in
Titanic.
Titanic.
You know?
Yes, exactly. Literally, Ireland is that scene, and that's all you need to know. Just kidding.
Probably not. They were pretty sad.
Yeah. But so of the journey, the Irish peasantry, having spent the winter of 1847 dying in public work stitches, under carts, on public streets, and in snowfields, would spend the summer dying across 3,000 miles of ocean. In 1847, the death rate on vessels on the Liverpool to Canada route was over 15%. On the Cork to Canada route, over 18%. So that's almost 1 in 5 people dying on the way there.
Yeah.
The boats were part of the Canadian timber trade, so lumber.
Okay.
And basically, they weren't in the market to move people. They just wanted to monetize their empty westward voyage.
Right.
Because they were bringing timber to the UK. So they were like, we got room.
Got boats.
Might as well shove people on it.
Are there beds? Not a one.
No. Basically, they put people in the cargo holds. They
Yeah.
would build these temporary decks, and they would not caulk them. So they were like unsealed floors without any
yeah.
like permanent structure, and they were torn up for storage on the way back. So they were just like filthy. They weren't sealed. They were just like dirty.
They kept trying to stack them like lumber. It didn't work.
It didn't work.
No.
People, turns out, are not lumber. But hey, once they die, they do stack them.
Oh no!
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I am sorry. I have to just push through.
Yeah, fair.
This is awful. Like I'm not
it's pretty
happy.
bad.
I'm just trying to zip zap zop my way through. You know.
I hear you. You're doing great.
Thanks.
They're not.
No. So at the time, I think this is kind of interesting. By U.S. law, they required every passenger on your boat have 14 square feet of space. So not like assigned to them. It wasn't like this is your cabin.
Yeah.
But you need to take the amount of passengers times it by 14.
It's like an occupancy, like a room occupancy, but for boat.
Yes. So U.S. ships, in order to land in the United States, you needed 14 feet of space. But Germans and the British both had 10 feet of space.
Okay.
So they less space.
Yeah. So they put them on the boat, and then when they got there, they were like, "It's fine if we land."
No, those boats had to go to Canada for the most part.
Oh, okay.
If they didn't have
Canada
14.
has
Canada is British. Canada's a colony.
Right.
America's not anymore.
Right.
British is. Canada is British. I'm doing great.
You are doing great.
But also, German ships might have been 10 feet, but at least German law, for 1 week of being on the boat, a person needed to be portioned 2 pounds of beef, 1 pound of bacon, 5 pounds of dried bread, and 3.5 pounds of dried vegetables.
Okay.
But the British only had to give people 7 pounds of breadstuffs, some type of bread.
Oh, and the thing about boat bread is that often it molds.
Boat bread be moldy.
Boat bread do be moldy.
Also,
it's also hardtack, so it's just like.
Are they?
And their teeth are probably not
There's
doing
nowhere
great.
to poop. Are they pooping?
I don't know.
If they're just eating bread.
Yeah.
Is there water?
Yeah.
Other than for sale?
There's salty water.
Oh, it's not good.
That's not good.
Yeah. So normally immigration would just kind of stop in the winter. People wouldn't cross over in the winter, but
Right, because
not this
8
year.
weeks on the deck, no blankies.
No blankies. Not great.
Yeah, you're gonna want some blankies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they kept going through the winter because things were that rough. But some boats would show up with over 100 people dead on the boat. Some had crew that wouldn't bring out the bodies without being paid more. And one boat, the captain had to move all the bodies himself because no one else would.
Wow.
Sometimes people were locked in a hold because they got the fever at sea. And some of these passengers were held at gunpoint in these holds.
Oh. This is not a pleasant, this is not just like a nice little sail.
No. There was the 1842 Passenger Act was supposed to make things a little nicer, but it was inadequate and it was not enforced. But it was still bad enough in Ireland that the motto was kind of anywhere but here. Like, kind of like Corona, anywhere but ordinary, but not.
You gotta find your beach, guys.
Find your beach. And it's not Irish.
Oh, boy.
Ireland's not known for their beaches.
Is a beach.
So 98,000 of the immigrants would go to Canada, which was incredibly overwhelming for Canada.
Yeah.
Because they just they weren't ready for that many people. And they also were upset that they were getting the low Irish.
Come on, everybody. Again,
Yeah.
they're not, they've just been
They're
dying
human beings.
for years.
They're human beings. Nobody really remembers that. So on April 16th in 1847, Le Canadien, a newspaper, was like, hey guys, they're coming. Like on a big scale. Like, get ready.
Yeah.
And in St. Lawrence, which was a small island, they would have to spend 2 weeks in fever sheds when they got there to make sure they weren't
the
sick.
Good old fever sheds.
And every ship that arrived had several dead and many cases of fever. So they had twice as many sick people than they had hospital beds by May. And they had ships waiting for 2 miles down the river. Some of them waiting 3 weeks to dock. Like, they had so many boats. So they had to put up hospital tents, but the person who sent the tents forgot to send the floors, so they're just on the cold ground in a hospital tent.
Guys.
People were dying of typhus and dysentery. There were no bathrooms again, so there was just like waste down in the brush.
That doesn't help the infection problem.
Well, they also only had 2 staff members, 2 people, 2 doctors in the month of May for almost 2,000 sick people.
That feels like an oversight, huh?
Yeah. At one point, there were a 14-person staff, but 12 of them got sick, and the Canadian government was offering nurses less than what they made in Quebec City to go to an island full of poop and death. So, of course, they were not going.
Yeah, they were like, you got to Quebec yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yeah, they were like, hey, you can make, 10 pounds in Quebec City or 8 and probably die.
And be,
on a poop island.
Not a poop island.
Yeah, no, it was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. The hospital shed slept 2 to 3 people in bed. People were often laying in their own excrement, and some of them would go without water for 12 hours because there's literally 2 staff members. And the daily deaths to the 2,000 people in the tents were up to 40 people a day.
Dehydration way higher when you're pooping your brains out as well.
Yeah, no, they need water all day.
More water.
They need water all the time. They also did not remove healthy people from the ships while they were in that 3-week queue, so that probably caused more illness.
Yeah.
The 2-week quarantine was also shortened, so then everyone ended up sick once they left quarantine.
Yeah.
German immigrants would travel through mostly healthy, but the Irish would leave over 5,000 dead on the island by the end of the year.
Jesus.
Quebec City was about 30 miles upriver and also got a large swell of the immigrant Irish, and by July, they also had 40 deaths a day, most from typhus. The hospitals and the sheds there were so overcrowded that they petitioned Montreal for an empty army barracks just to have more beds. Their harbor was full of sick people, people crying in the streets, people covered in excrement, oozing with sores, calling out for death to take them.
Emily, I think I might be sad.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's a really sad story.
Sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's really bad.
We're going to find a silly mess around.
Yeah.
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 Maybe we just redo the Beanie Babies episode.
We're just going to become a different podcast for a couple weeks. Somebody, Tacey at the housewarming was like, I just want you guys to do an Irish famine podcast. Like, I'm learning so much about my people. And I'm like, this is taking a lot out of me.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we're all learning something.
I'm glad that there are people that are stoked. Because it's
I don't think she's like stoked. She just like likes the, Anyway.
Knowledge is power.
At one point, a mob tore down fever sheds near the hospital, and in one church parish, 60 people died in a week from typhus. Montreal, which was another 180 miles upriver, was a more appealing destination, and they could accommodate large river steamers. So the areas of passengers on those boats were packed very tightly, and someone said when he went on the boat to inspect the boat that the smell struck him like an object. Like, it was rough.
Yeah.
And Montreal, they were trying to be prepared, and typhus basically took over immediately, despite having just had their streets cleaned, and they closed all their cheap lodging houses to try to like minimize like big groups of people staying in the same place.
Yeah.
The mayor of Montreal complained to the queen of, quote, whole cargoes of human beings in a state of destitution and every stage of disease has proved a grievous burden on the residents. And the queen was like, thank you for your letter. I did nothing.
Oh, the queen.
In the last week of July, 267 immigrants died just in Montreal, and they had fever sheds upriver from the city's water supply.
No.
People were very upset about that, but the mayor's response was that the river was already where most people dump their garbage, so how are a few thousand immigrants making the water that much worse? Which, honestly, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't swim there, and you shouldn't either. Whatever happened with the Canadian river where the mayor was going to swim in it for the Olympics? Did that happen?
It wasn't Canada, it was France.
It was France. But
and I think they did, but I don't know.
Yeah. Then people were like,
not a Summer Olympics person. I know that's a hot topic. I know that's a touchy subject for a lot, but I'm a winter gal.
Yeah, I think as I'm learning, more people are winter gals. No, really?
Everyone I talk to is like summer for life. So
yeah, I don't know.
Tell us in the comments, I guess. That summer also had a heat wave, which of course makes
they can't catch a weather break.
Literally can't
catch
a break.
A heat wave or a blizzard.
3 feet of snow. Yeah. So some nights this summer, up to 50 people are dying a night in Montreal. Typhus killed most, but some took their own lives. 2 brothers threw themselves into the river and were upset when they were rescued. They were like, "We just want to die. Like, why won't you let us die?" Like it is bleak. 6,000 people died of typhus in Montreal total, including the mayor, 8 priests, and 17 nuns. The Irish were bringing the disease along the entire river, and the farmers there didn't want to hire them out of fear. So now Canada was having a rough time as well. They had gotten £10,000 from London, and they had given themselves $50,000 to immigrant relief, like to help people. But they were running out of money to do any of this. And other than the famine itself and the Crimean War, the Irish travel to Canada was the cause of the greatest British mortality in the Victorian era.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So by October, 20,000 people in Canada were dead. They felt that the UK had been callous, but worse were the landlords who had offloaded their, quote, dead weight. And out of the 100,000 Irish that came that year, only about 5,000 actually had their passage paid for by their landlords, but that had been very publicized. So Canada is like, they're all being offloaded.
Yeah.
But an example of one of the boats, they arrived with 8 dead, 22 dying, and 377 alive. But of those 377, 99% would have to be supported by charity. So they're just like, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
But it's a rough boat to get to your port to be like, what are we doing here? Like,
yeah.
Meanwhile, in America.
Oh, okay.
Ever heard of it?
Yeah, I have. I feel like it's not going to go great for them there either.
No, I mean, it's not gonna. Nothing goes good for anybody in the story.
Okay.
Have you not?
Right.
Nobody's happy except for maybe the Queen, who keeps getting all those nice letters. So, meanwhile, in America, New York City was one of the ports that rarely was iced over. So they also were at capacity all winter.
Got it.
The papers predicted that it would be the most influx of people in history, and some papers were trying to be optimistic in New York, saying the men would likely be of health, energy, and some capital, which was not true. But others were worried, and in Lower Manhattan, a group of New Yorkers were upset and threatening an injunction because the city had a plan to limit all disembarkations to a single dock, so have everybody get off at one dock, and that would just kind of ruin that neighborhood, just because any type of person, that many people getting off the boat. So that was like a relatively reasonable thing to be upset about. But there were already plenty of Irish people in New York City. One assessment claiming that in 1816, 30 years earlier, as many of 25,000 people out of 100,000 were Irish.
Wow, okay.
So it's not like, who are these people showing up? But many of the Irish that were already there were middle class and were Protestant. So this is a different group. This wave of people, many of them were Catholic, many of them were kind of rough and tumble. And this is kind of the time of like the 5 Points gang. So Gangs of New York, is that the movie? Yeah, This is Gangs of New York time.
Got it.
Very Irish, very angry, very... angry, basically.
Yeah.
But the 2 institutions that would welcome the Irish were the Catholic Church and Tammany Hall.
Hey.
We've heard of that.
Yeah.
When they arrived, there was not a Statue of Liberty yet, which feels crazy. But they would sail past Staten Island, which also, funnily enough, looked beautiful. At that time, from the water, you saw weeping willows and giant estates. It looked like a nice place to be. So they were happy to come to America, but again, the British ships are the worst ships, just for emphasis. Out of 1,000 people, the mortality rate for British ships was 30 people per 1,000, compared to 9 per 1,000 on American and 8 per 1,000 on German.
Okay.
So British boats are the worst boats.
Yeah. How many people were on some of these boats? Like
most of them, it seems like, were hundreds, but some of them, it really vastly.
Yeah. Big boat, little boat.
Big boat, little boat. That's what they say. Common phrase when you're talking about immigration. There's a big boat, there's a little boat.
And
Which
some
boats
of
are gonna be?
Lots of people on it. Some of them less
Little
than
boats. Still can have lots of people.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So typhus spread because, all caps here, there were 2 visiting days during your 30-day quarantine.
That seems kind of to defeat the purpose of
the
quarantine.
entire purpose.
Yeah.
They literally were like, yeah, no, it's 30 days is a long time. Why don't you have your whole family come visit you on this quarantine island and pick up this disease?
Yeah.
So between the visiting days, the crew members who did not need to quarantine, and then many wealthy people who paid to not quarantine,
Sure.
by December, New York City had lost almost 1,400 people to typhus.
Wow.
However, that is a lot of people.
Yeah.
But they did have less immigration because of this 10-foot, 14-foot rule. Mm-hmm. So just for comparison, New York City lost 1,400 people in December from typhus, but Montreal at that same time lost 3,000 and was only 1/7 the size of New York.
Got it.
So way more impactful, way more of their population. In New York City, when they landed, the docks were also full of predators, similarly to Liverpool, people who were employed by the boarding houses. Some of them would just grab people or grab their luggage and be like, you're staying here.
Okay.
Literally, they were like, there were some bullies that bullied you into living here. Yeah. A lot of houses would also lie about their rates. So when they were checking out, they would steal their luggage and be like, you can't leave because you didn't pay us the rate. And they were like, that's not what you said it would cost.
Yeah, you said it was this much money.
And they would also overcharge them for railway tickets. They'd be like, I'll help you buy your train ticket. It's $1 million. There was also a bondsman, which was a whole different type of predator. Because in the 1824 Passenger Act, it said that ship captains had to post bond of up to $300 for every passenger that would become a ward of the city within 2 years of arrival. So for a fee, per person, a bondsman, somewhere between 10 cents to $1, the bondsman took over that responsibility, which was risky. But usually the bondsman bought the bond, like bought the potential debt, and then had a friend in City Hall that kind of made it go away.
Yeah, sure.
So, and if they did end up in a bondsman's care, they would end up in their own personal poorhouse or in unheated tenements. So, not great. There was a family called the Trescotts, and they were passenger brokers. Okay. And so they did this type of thing, and they brought in 7,000 to 8,000 people a year, but they had their own poorhouse that was terrible. And people said that they were feeding them black meal and refuse grease.
Oh,
so
God.
like
Nope.
garbage and oil. I'm not even sure what that is.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, Trescotts, do better. And they were like, we're doing great. Why don't you visit our poorhouse and you can see? And they did visit, and they were like, this is bad.
Hauntingly bad.
Yeah, no, they were
Where are you getting all this old grease from?
They were literally feeding them grease and the remains of diseased pigs and lambs. So the New York State Legislature would eventually create some immigrant reforms to protect the protect the newcomer from being robbed, to facilitate his passage through the city, to aid him with good advice, and in case of the most urgent necessity, to furnish him with a small amount of money. And by 1855, so almost 10 years later, there was an established landing point for all the ships at Castle Garden, and there were agents staged in Albany to protect westbound immigrants from fraud as well. And they had built municipal almshouses to replace the private poor workhouses. So there was slightly... things were slightly improving. And again, they were deterring people with this 14 square foot law, but they still had 1.8 million people emigrate through New York from 1847 to 1851. Wow. So they obviously weren't keeping everybody out. But in Black 1847, they called Black 47, New York only got about 53,000 Germans and about the same amount of Irish. But in that same year, 98,000 Irish landed in Canada. So, and in 1848, the next year, they got 189,000 immigrants, and 98,000 of those were Irish. So,
got it.
A lot of people.
Yes.
But not as many as Canada.
Yeah.
But I also keep forgetting that Canada in this moment is a territory of Great Britain. It's part of the United Kingdom.
Going to a different part of the same place,
kind of, but not really.
Yeah.
So in July 1847, New York was having one of those really stinky New York summers. I can't imagine it smelled less like pee in 1847.
No, probably a little, at least these years, a little more.
Yeah, it was hot enough that people were dragging their mattresses and sleeping outside, and frequent downpours and thunderstorms would wash trash and occasionally a baby pig into the Hudson River.
Oh. Wilbur.
Confused about where those baby pigs were, but sometimes they're going into the river.
Yeah.
And in some of the poorer Irish wards, people would be boiling animal remains, and so it would smell like wet dog, cat, and rat, which is maybe the worst combination of smells.
Yeah, it's pretty bad perfume
I can come up with. Yeah. And people were starting to post notices in newspapers trying to find their families. So here's an example of one. And it would be, the names are in all caps and then the rest, but it's William Burns and his wife, Mary Grady, who sailed from Limerick on the 1st or 2nd of April last for New York. Their daughter, who left Ireland in the middle of April last and landed in Baltimore, is anxious to hear from them. So it's just like trying to find their people.
Okay.
Yeah. Most famine immigrants would come with nothing but the clothes on their back and a willingness to do the hardest and worst paid work. But they had trouble even finding that work. A lot of the women were mocked, calling them Biddy after a joke about a woman named Biddy Nutley, who I don't know who that is. Okay. But basically, all the jokes were about how they were bad domestic workers, and the jokes were like reflecting how poor they were. They'd be like, Biddy doesn't know how to answer the door because she never had a door. Like,
come on,
just really shitty.
Yeah.
And ads for domestic labor would say things like, woman wanted to do general housework, any country or color except Irish.
Oof.
So they're having trouble. The Irish American, which was a newspaper, claimed that at least half of the mechanics in the city, skilled workers, so mechanics, woodworkers, carpenters, were Irish, which was a very generous, inaccurate claim, but it was born out of insecurity, and they wanted to prove that the Irish weren't just ditch diggers. But they would end up doing a lot of manual labor, like they became longshoremen, quarrymen, blastmen, and ruckmen. So all the big things plus the word man. And they worked hard, but it was a very different type of work because their work ethic, the very Irish, the Gaelic, the villagers, they just didn't work as much. The British had been complaining about their work ethic for years, but they were used to having market days off, fairs, wakes, funerals, all sorts of things. And they learned in America that they would only have Sundays off. So that was a different vibe. Still happy to be here, still happy to eat, but different vibe.
Different vibe. And also, again, years of no matter how hard you worked, there was not enough food.
Not enough food. Yeah. So it's kind of like, what are you gonna?
Yeah. There's a certain level of fatalism that I bet seeped into society.
Yeah. So the famine Irish would never make it much further than the dock they arrived at. So the wards surrounding the docks, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 6th were very, very Irish. And there was a place called the Brewery in 5 Points, which was a boarding house that housed about 1,000 of the poorest people. And there was a mile-long garbage dump that ran from 1st to 20th Street. And it was just rough. And the Archbishop Hughes, who was in America, feared that they had just moved their hardship to the other side of the ocean. He said, it is but truth to say that the Irish cellars and garrets of New York are as awful as the hovels from which many of the Irish were exterminated. Oof. So it's just still bad.
Yeah.
Between 1847 and 1851, 848,000 Irish people would move to New York, which was twice the population of 1845 New York City.
Wow.
So so many.
Yeah.
And in 1847, they would be a fourth of the Brooklyn population as well, which is a different city at this time. Yeah. I thought this was funny, but I don't know. I think it's funny, but these Irish immigrants were, quote, distinguished by qualities that tend to make men interesting rather than prosperous.
Oh, okay.
Like,
sure.
They're here for a good time.
Yeah,
they're telling stories. They're
interesting, but not wealthy.
Not wealthy.
Yeah.
But New York City was quite prejudicial towards the famine Irish. The publisher of The Nation wrote they were not taught punctuality, soberness, cleanliness, or other minor morals. So people just don't like them.
Yeah. I mean, we're not good with people that have been through really bad hardship. And,
no.
The Dust Bowl folks moving out to California, we were not kind.
I mean, a little known fact, I believe it was New York, America in general turned Anne Frank away.
Right. Yeah.
Goodbye.
Yeah. So
sorry.
We could do better.
We could do better.
We could do better.
We could always do better. We could do better right now.
Yeah.
This is quite the episode. I'm going to find the dumbest heist, the silliest event.
Yeah.
I gotta change it up for my own.
Yeah. Is there some sort of bubblegum scam that we
What's
missed?
going on with the Pez factory?
Yeah.
What's going on? Who invented Pez?
Yeah, I bet they were up to no good.
Yeah, we're gonna oof. Yeah, so New York Protestant Irish, so the Irish that were already there that were Protestants started calling themselves Ulster Irish or Scotch Irish because they just wanted to differentiate themselves. And the racist scientists that always pop up in a story like this started claiming that the Irish had the wrong head shape, the wrong face shape, the wrong skull bumps. They begrudgingly had to call them Caucasian because they were.
Right.
But they decided to create 7 subcategories of white people, and Irish was one of the lowest. By 1870, the Irish were 20% of the population of New York City, and the rest of the city felt like they were being dragged along by them. So John Hughes, who was the Archbishop I was discussing before of New York, he was a Roman Catholic gladiator. He was a Roman Catholic guy, but he stopped trying to. So at that time, Catholic churches in America were accommodating. Basically, they were like trying to look more Protestant, trying to assimilate. And he was like, we're done. We're going to be Catholic. Like, we're done. And during his reign, New York State also became the first of the states to prohibit teaching religion at schools because he was like separation, church and state. The Catholic Church in general, just for reference, because I didn't know this, was kind of more symbolic in the life of many Irish immigrants. A lot of them barely knew the sacraments or holy days and didn't attend church. But the idea of being Catholic was resistance to the English Protestant church.
Oh, interesting. So still like a core part of their identity, but maybe they weren't.
But not necessarily because of religion.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Depends on the person, obviously. But it wasn't that they were all these incredibly devout Catholics. It was just that they were like, we are Catholic because you guys are Protestant. And so we're definitely Catholic. Because they were all coming to New York, Hughes helped build a new Catholic homeland, including 114 new churches, 2 new Catholic colleges, one of them being Fordham.
Okay.
The first Catholic hospital, a newspaper, a temperance society, St. Patrick's Cathedral, and many, many Catholic schools. He taught them, quote, the dangers of godless public education, mixed marriages, which by mixed marriages he means Catholic and Protestant.
Right.
Nativism and red republicanism, but they also learned how to be Americans. At Sunday Mass, the faithful were encouraged to develop industry, punctuality, sobriety, thrift, and self-control, the Anglo-Saxon virtues that the British nation builders wanted to foster in Ireland. The Sunday homilies also helped the immigrants see how and where they fit into the American story. Like the Pilgrims, the first European Americans, the Irish came to the United States in search of religious liberty. Proud, tough, and street-smart Irish New York was also inward-looking, parochial, frequently intolerant, sometimes violent, and very politically astute. That's just from the book.
Sure.
Summed it up real good.
Yeah.
The other guy, other than Hughes and the church, that played a very important role in their immigration was a Scotch-Irish Protestant named William Marcy Tweed.
Oh.
He led Tammany Hall, which at the time... Boss Tweed, you might say.
You might say.
He led Tammany Hall, which at the time controlled 8,000 jobs, and it would eventually control 30,000 jobs. His personal wealth at the time ranged somewhere, they were never able to nail it down, between $30 and $200 million in dollars at that time.
Wow.
Not our dollars. In their dollars.
That's some chash.
He probably could have saved Ireland single-handedly?
Yeah.
Question mark?
Yeah.
But let's not dwell on that.
Yeah. He wasn't really a charity kind of guy.
No. So the Irish at this point saw government as brutal and oppressive and an instrument in their suffering, which is incredibly valid. But a lot of New Yorkers, Republicans and progressives, thought that government could be an instrument of progress. So that created a tricky dichotomy. The other issue was that the Irish saw slavery as an American issue. And even though they were coming over around the time of the Civil War, they were like, hey, we just avoided dying an incredibly miserable death.
Yeah.
Why would we go die for you?
Yeah. Which, we just got here.
We just got here. It's not us.
We just got here. Yeah.
And the Catholic Church actually endorsed kind of staying out of it. Mm-hmm. So that just kind of created another reason of like otherism.
And a rift.
Yeah. Progressives would view Irish as violent and as willing to sell their vote to the highest bidder. But the thing is, Tammany was the only machine or group that was helping them, providing food and rent in emergencies, a meal on holidays, and a government job. They would often be intermediaries in immigration issues, getting people out of jail or helping naturalize them. And in the 1840s, the Irish just wanted to work. But by the 1850s, many of them were saloon keepers, policemen, and firemen, and very entwined in the politics of New York.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you don't have anything at all, somebody that's willing to give you a little goes a long way.
Goes a long way.
Yeah.
The Irish in the 19th century would be more than 1/5 of the vote in New York, and these voters, did not think that the potato famine had been providence, which is what the moralists said, an act of God.
Right.
A young Irelander, a guy named John Mitchell, who would write a book called The Last Conquest of Ireland, perhaps, in parentheses, wrote this book. A lot of the claims he made were not true.
Okay.
Such as the amount
or
of...
perhaps they were.
Perhaps they would become true. No, I mean, he was pro-Ireland and anti-government, and the vibe was correct, but the facts were not true.
Yeah.
He said that the amount of corn imported was to distract the amount of corn exported. And while they did eventually import more than they exported, I get why he said it.
Sensationalized a bunch of
He sensationalized a bunch of it. He said that Trevelyan, who we hate, who is very bad.
Yeah.
But he said that he brought Irish children to a government lab and gave them typhus poison on purpose.
Oh, okay.
So it's just like not a thing. But overall, the general accusation of the book rang very true to them, being that the Almighty indeed sent the potato blight, but England sent the famine. So they're like, sure, God hurt the potatoes.
Yeah.
We didn't all have to die.
Right.
This was not what needed to happen.
Yeah, which is true.
100%. And it seemed as if the English plan, including requiring people to give up everything but a quarter acre in order to qualify for relief, was just systematic genocide. And in order to restructure their economy and society, they were able to create these large commercial English farms by kicking everybody off. And the idea of calling it a genocide for the Irish was more satisfying than talking about the combination of incompetence, bureaucracy, stupidity, and bad policy.
Yeah.
Because those things felt too small for how many people had died. They wanted a big word. And the British were like, yeah, that word is providence. And they were like, nope. It's genocide.
Yeah.
So the other thing that the Irish liked about his book is that he completely ignored any failings of any Catholic farmers and landlords who evicted people, any Catholics who charged famine prices for corn, or when the Catholic-dominated relief committees helped based on patronage instead of need. So he was.
Okay.
They were like,
ignore those.
Yeah. We don't want to look bad. The Irish were starting to feel like exiles, and but many of them did become soldiers. The Union Army alone trained 150,000 Irish recruits.
Wow.
And at one point, they decided to use that training to attack Canada.
Well, they're up there.
Well, in 1866, they attacked from America, but they were like, Canada's the closest UK-owned land.
Oh, sure.
We're going to attack Canada.
Yeah.
Neither went very well. The first time they did it in 1866, 600 troops went across the border near Buffalo, but they ran out of food and had to retreat home. The second attack in 1870 was even sillier because the invaders went across the border but had no money to get home and had to write to Tweed to get back to New York.
Like, hey, boss.
Hey, boss. We're stuck.
We're in Canada.
We're in Canada now.
We roughed them up real good, though.
We showed them who's boss.
I don't know why it gives them that
accent. Yeah, that accent's in no way correct, but that's okay. So that summer of 1847, it seemed as if the blight was reappearing.
Oh.
People in Cork panicked and started yelling about how it had come back. But somebody finally went and looked at the potatoes, and they were not spotted nor black.
Okay.
The problem was every time somebody saw a normal potato blemish or a wilted leaf, they were having PTSD.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Which is valid.
It's like, just wasn't enough rain this weekend.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, God, no.
It's all
Which,
going down.
again, very understandable.
Incredibly understandable. But finally, in August, there was good weather, and many fields were blooming and were healthy, and the blight finally vanished because of the hot and dry weather. Some potatoes are going to have a tough time in the coming years. It's not 1,000% over, but they're going to have an okay time this year.
Okay.
The good weather was helping reduce both the blight and the fever, and the soup kitchens were helping to reduce the starvation.
Yeah, there you go.
Because after 18 months, the British finally realized that food shouldn't be a teaching tool, and they fed people.
There we go.
Who knew? Took a while to figure it out, but
Finally learned to drink a new type of beverage. Charity. Because the British like tea.
they should pair it with some humble pie, but they won't.
No.
So at the height of the soup kitchens, 2,000 kitchens were feeding over 3 million people a day. So
Wow.
they were really getting that soup out there.
Y'all, good job.
Good job. However, they're going to close on August 15th.
Come on. Just for the day?
Just take one day off.
Just today. They're just
Get
like,
your
oh.
own soup today. No, they were just like, God damn it. There's a fly on the podcast.
Yeah. We don't like it.
We don't care for it. No, they just were like, we're done helping. We helped enough. We hate helping. And unfortunately, while the potato crop was healthy, it was less than a quarter of its normal size.
Oh.
Because remember, everybody was like, why would we plant death potatoes?
Right.
Turns out they should have planted them.
Okay.
The new poor law was supposed to replace the 700,000 public works jobs, but would landlords actually hire workers to keep them off the relief rolls when they could just lower their own poor rate by evicting their tenants instead?
Oh, yeah, because they learned this new trick. And now they're like, let's just all use the same trick. And then you're like, but then there's no workers in Ireland, so what do we do now?
What do we do now? Oh, wait, they're all gone.
They're all gone.
So all they knew was that the new poor law was going to be incredibly expensive. In September 1846, they paid about £21,000, but by 1747 or by September of 1847, it was £121,000.
Okay, yeah. And that's a
December
little bit
was
more
168.
expensive. But also years of famine.
Yeah, and few landlords and farmers were actually planning to expand their labor force, with people wandering the streets yelling, "Won't your honor give us work?" They literally just wanted to get paid to do anything.
Yeah.
And some warned of a class war. If the common people had no means of earning their food, they would seize it by force. In Britain, they weren't that worried because they were not in Ireland.
Yes, they were in Britain.
Yeah.
I hate them.
The total value of the 1847 Irish crops exported was 40 million pounds. And the prime minister was like, that's enough to employ people. We gave that money to somebody in Ireland, so everybody's going to be fine.
Oh, the old trickle-down economics.
Yeah. And if they can't get jobs, they should just eat their rent crops or sell them. Then they had what someone called a famine in money.
Oh.
Because people, the markets started tanking because people had bought corn thinking it would be about 25 pounds a share that April, but the price fell to about 10. And also, not related, but bad timing, the railway bubble burst. The market burst on railroads.
Got it.
And those shares decreased very quickly. So the money markets are bad.
Yeah, nobody's catching a break.
Yeah. But John Russell, the prime minister, was committed to the new poor law because he really was hoping it was going to stop all this emigration. Liverpool is having a rough time. They had corpses in their streets, fever in their cellars, and many, many people looking for jobs that couldn't find them. 26,000 people went to Glasgow, Scotland in 1 month.
Wow.
And the people there were pretty pissed.
Yeah.
They were like, they're going to take our jobs and threaten our Protestant moral character, which they might try to take your jobs, but only because they don't have jobs.
Yeah. They could use some jobs and some food.
So at this point, unfortunately, after only 2 years of famine, large numbers of people in the UK now subscribe to the moralist,
Yeah.
moral-ish
Ish.
moralist ideas of Trevelyan that Ireland must learn to help herself even if there was a high human toll. So they're now just saying, we're out.
Yeah.
Shop's closed.
Yeah, we've stopped caring about you.
No room at the inn.
Oof. He gave out way too many of those books. You know?
Yes.
He was just giving out way too many of those books.
Our friend Mr. Twistleton, we haven't heard from him in a while, who was the Irish Poor Law Commissioner at the time, he told a parliamentary inquiry, there are many individuals of even superior minds who now seem to me to have steeled their hearts entirely to the suffering of the people of Ireland. They justify it to themselves by thinking that it would be going contrary to the provisions of nature to give any assistance to the destitute in that country. It is said that the law of nature is that those persons should die and that you should leave them alone. There is thus a sort of philosophical color given to the theory or idea that a person who permits the destitute Irish to die from want of food is acting in conformity with the system of nature. So basically, they've just decided they're done.
Yeah. And that, like, if you are fine with other people dying,
you're right.
Then you're morally proper.
You're correct, because God wanted them to die, and if you interfere, you're bad.
Sure. It just, I love it when people are like, oh man, God says I don't have to do anything.
Yes!
Yes.
It's like when people make fun of Catholics and they're like, I can do whatever I want, and then just say 10 Hail Marys. Like, sick. Like, I can say that mass starvation is providence and just chill.
Yeah, and then I talk to the king, and the king's like, "You pardon," and I'm like, "Thanks, king."
There's no king. There's a queen.
All right,
Victoria. So there were many British towns, like the town of Rochdale, that had an aggressive anti-pauper policy and deported many of the Irish poor, including a 12-year-old fever patient who recovered, but then was sent home to Manchester, Liverpool, and then back to Dublin.
No.
He and his 13-year-old brother were deported after their parents and sisters died. And then the 12-year-old died on the open deck passage of the ship.
On the way back to where
Ireland.
they had fled.
Yeah. He was lame. He couldn't walk very well.
Yeah.
And they were like, we're going to put him in the warmest spot because he's a little sad, sick boy. And he was there for like a day, and then other people got cold and pushed him out.
Sure.
And then he died.
Yikes.
Yeah.
It's just a yikes.
It's just not good.
Yeah, it's just bad.
It's just really bad. This is how bad things are.
Yeah, and also like, just okay. Everybody out there in the world that's listening to this podcast, just remember the next time something happens where there is famine or hardship or food scarcity that is just caused by something uncontrollable, that the knockoff effects of all of this stuff cost way more than like just helping them when they're in need. Like, just get them through the rough period, and then we don't have to deal with massive.
Don't want to flee their homes.
No,
for the most part.
Yeah,
for the most part.
But it's just generations of pain because we were like, well, we can't help them. It's like you could have just helped them.
You definitely could have just helped them. And by the fall, the British were getting to be okay with the mass evictions as well. Mm-hmm. They were a dirty business, but they had to happen. Trevelyan said that he felt like dependence on government was disappearing, and a voice was declaring, we are able to help ourselves. We will no longer be dependent on the precarious assistance received from other lands. But that is in no way true. Starvation is fully reappearing. In Mayo, people were foraging for seagull eggs on jagged cliffs. They had to have soldiers protecting the local food depots. Death was going up. And a vicar in Mayo said, with all our exertions, deaths are increasing tenfold. Fever in all its forms is surrounding us. Our wretched funds are expended. I entreat, I implore, in the name of him, be merciful. But the British government had lost about £1 million in 2 months from the railroad bubble bursting. So Mr. Wood, Trevelyan's little buddy, said, this must be the end of it. In the present state of the money market...
Wait. So more people are going to have to die in Ireland because they made bad railroad investments.
Yes.
Love that.
Correct. In the present state of the money market and depression in all of our manufacturing towns, further assistance to Ireland was out of the question. She must keep herself somehow or other. Where the people refuse to work or sow, they must starve.
No.
So they're just saying the quiet part out loud now.
Yeah.
Many people also just stopped paying their poor rate. By October 31st of that year, there was over 850,000 pounds that were uncollected. And some of the people trying to collect these fees were attacked, hit with rocks, shot, killed. Twistleton was now the director of an independent Irish Poor Law Commission and was supposed to be collecting enough taxes to feed the Irish poor, but he simply couldn't. He did try to stop the collusion between the workhouse guardians who set the local tax rates and the middle class who were supposed to pay them. So he shut down several workhouses and replaced them with professional government administrators, but it did not do much. And at this point, many people genuinely could not pay it. Like, it started with they maybe could have genuinely just can't do it. London hesitated to get involved, but they did send a second Queen's letter, the letter that appealed for public help. But the year before, they had gotten 116,000 pounds, and this year they only got about 20. Trevelyan finally came to Ireland in person for the first time since the famine started. And he was like, oh, it seems bad still.
Still pretty bad.
So he said that distressed unions, which were areas servicing a specific workhouse, so a union was one workhouse, so a small region, could qualify for government assistance after they made a good faith effort to get the poor rate, but only 22 of these unions qualified. And he also asked the workhouses to clear out the very old, the very young, the infirm, and the widows, and put them on outdoor relief, because he thought if the workhouses only took able-bodied people, those people would think twice about actually going in, because they'd be like, we don't need to go to a workhouse. But he also out loud acknowledged that thousands would die again without relief.
It's just, maybe don't like take control of a whole country and a whole people and then like reap all of the benefits of taking control of the whole country and people,
and then leave them to die.
When they are having a hard time, you're like, oh well, that's not my responsibility.
That feels like your problem.
It feels like your problem, God and stuff. Am I right?
Am I right? So their fears about class warfare were correct.
Yeah.
And the mass evictions that fall brought out the gunmen. Several proprietors, several lords, and some bailiffs were assassinated. There was a movement towards tenants' rights, and Irish property owners started living in fear, some getting letters saying, your grave has already been dug, and started going everywhere armed.
That's a pretty intense threat. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Viceroy Clarendon he was a guy in Ireland, told Downing Street, told the Prime Minister, that they would need help to maintain order, and a week later was like, could you send us 300,000 guns? And Russell was basically like, no. Okay, so Clarendon was like, the violence is anarchy. We need help because it's anarchy. Yeah. And Russell was like, no, it's not arbitrary or anarchy. The landlords were turning out 50 people at a time to avoid paying their poor rate and burning the houses down. So the violence seems pretty... Yeah,
there's a
normal?
Quite a cause and effect here. Yeah.
Which is weird that he's like, because there's a reasonable cause, we're not going to help you. But he was like, I'm not... Basically... whatever their version of the National Guard, he's like, that's for anarchy, not for you.
Yeah, I am actually a little surprised because, a lot of times with stuff like this, they're like, well, we won't give you food, but we will give you guns.
Yeah, no,
but
they
were like, neither guns.
Not even guns.
Food.
The one thing that John Russell tried to do was pass a new landlord-tenant bill that would actually have been pretty good if it had made it. It was going to help prevent preemptory evictions and compensate tenants who made any improvements to their land, but that did not even get to a vote. But what did pass, very similar to what you were kind of saying, was a new crime bill.
Yep, there it is.
Mandating that communities had to take on costs of any extra policing in their community, and also that the failure to assist in murder investigations was a crime. Okay, are you ready for your last haunting anecdote?
Oh,
some more sad facts.
Yeah,
but
actually, I've been feeling a little too up. Let's knock it right back down.
So New Year's Eve. of 47, a night that is normally celebratory in some
Sure.
way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
John Costello and his family, including 3 young children, were evicted, and they watched a wrecking crew demolish their home. He hadn't even had a conversation with his landlord in 9 years. The last thing the landlord having said to him was, "I would rather feed goats than ye."
Oh, wow.
That night after their home was torn down, which they were like, "Can you just do it tomorrow?" And they were like,
after
"No."
New Year's, you just the next year.
Yeah, they were like, "No." So that night they had to sleep in a hollow potato field, and as they tried to fall asleep, it began snowing, and 2 of the 3 children would be dead in weeks.
Oh God. Okay.
But in London, people celebrated and gave very little thought to Ireland because the crop in 1847 wasn't blighted, so they were done thinking about Ireland.
God.
The Irish were learning to help themselves.
Oh God. I just don't. Okay. Somebody can't pay rent. You kick them out, and you tear down the house. What's the point?
Of tearing down the house
Yeah.
to consolidate the farmland.
Right.
Can't have houses on farmland.
Yeah, but they didn't have anybody to plant the potatoes.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. I don't like them.
You shouldn't. They're bad. They're simply bad. So, we're kind of getting to the wrapping it up
Okay.
of it all.
Yeah.
The first 2 years were the worst 2 years, and there is not really a tied up with a bow ending to this because it's hard to dig yourself out of famine.
Yes.
All of these horrible trends persisted into the middle of the 1850s, and things were made much worse by the extended poor law of 1847 because it made eviction an efficient way to make their poor rate go lower, and something called the Gregory Clause made the process easier to evict them and was, quote, the perfect engine for the slaughter and expatriation of the people. The eviction rate rose in 1847 to 1851. It rose 1,000%.
Yikes. Yikes.
1,000%.
Yeah.
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 In early 1848, the workhouse population went from the 75,000 of the soup kitchen summer to 120 and then 150,000. And by June, 1 million people were being helped, 850,000 with outdoor relief and the rest in workhouses. But that didn't even count the people who were arrested on purpose because the Irish jails served better food than the workhouses. The prison system was actually built to hold about 5,000 people and held 13,000 that year.
Oof.
The taxes at that point were claiming half of every pound, and the landlords truly couldn't pay at this point. And by July, there was a season of rebellion across Europe, and William Smith O'Brien and Thomas Meagher, who were part of the Young Irelanders, went to the countryside trying to raise an army, but everybody was very tired.
Yeah.
They brought 118 people into battle over Miss McCormick's cabbage garden, but they were quickly taken by police.
Oof.
The August of 1848 led to more blight in Ulster and the West, and thousands more evicted. And the Clare district of Kilrush had so many evictions that the population went from 82,000 to 60,000.
Wow.
The good landlords are going to bad, and the bad are going to the worst extremes of cruelty and tyranny, they said. The poor law system effectively broke down in 1848, and many evicted peasants simply died. Thousands of people were literally crowbarred out of their homes and turned out to the streets to die from famine and disease. The British government officially stopped helping in late summer of 47. They did give £156,000 in 1848 and 114 in 1849, but that was basically throwing a rock into a pond. It did very little.
Yeah.
Because of all the small farmers that were evicted and the new Encumbered Estates Act, which eased rules on the sale of Irish property, this all would bring in large-scale commercial farming. Moralists thought that the blight was providence, and the landlords took this as an opportunity to get rid of their deadweight tenants and turn their properties into lucrative commercial farms.
And the bulk of all of the landowners were British or Protestant Irish or
Yeah, a lot of them were absentee and British, and they weren't Gaelic Irish heritage folks.
And whether or not genocide is exactly the right word. That feels more genocide. That feels more like you're trying to wipe away an entire culture, but specifically financially, you're like, it's not because you hate them. It's because you're like, oh, I can take advantage of them, and no one seems to care if I do.
Yeah. Farming profits would grow eventually in the 1850s, and some would say that was a pretty quick recovery. And by the beginning of World War I, 11.1 million of Ireland's 20 million acres again were owned by Irish proprietors. And like before the famine, many of them were small farmers, but it didn't last for very long, and it wasn't a particularly exciting victory. To sum it all up, the relief policies of the British may not have been intentionally malicious, but they did produce hundreds of thousands of needless deaths. And for decades, the Irish wouldn't be able to say English without adding "God damn her."
Yeah.
Or England, rather, without saying "God damn her." Yeah. But that is the end of our story.
Okay.
It, 1.2 million died, 2 million left.
Yeah.
Ireland was changed forever.
Yeah.
England was at fault.
Mm-hmm.
I very much agree with the, not necessarily God, but something brought the blight. England brought the famine.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I forgot to mention it this episode, but our main source for this was The Graves Are Walking, The Great Famine and the Saga of the Irish People by John Kelly. Irish history is expansive and long, and I could talk about it for a very long time. I do think I'm going to eventually tell the story of the Molly Maguires, which is a labor movement of Irish immigrants in America, but not next.
Yeah, no. I'm probably going to do a series at some point digging a little deeper into, like, actually digging into Tammany Hall. We've brushed up against it a lot, but it's, I think that'd be an interesting thing to learn about.
For sure. And if you want a visual of what it looked like when they came over, Gangs of New York is a wild movie with Daniel Day-Lewis and Leonardo DiCaprio. It's a vibe.
Yeah.
I watched it recently for the first time. It's a vibe.
Okay.
I don't really know how I feel about it, but visually interesting.
Okay.
If it's accurate. I say this, and now I'm like,
sure.
Is that a fantasy?
Yeah.
I don't know how to wrap it up other than sad.
Sad.
So many more evictions than I realized.
Yeah.
All the cabins, they basically burned down, and they were like, you're done?
Yeah. And like, ugh.
A lot more dogs in the story than I thought.
Yeah, a lot of not good dogs.
Coffin ships.
Phew. Beware of famine, everybody. Just a hot take. Just watch out, because the thing is, blights you may not be able to control. You may have been able to foresee some of it, but the famine is caused by people. So
yeah. This is just one of those stories of just absolute justification of cruelty through any means necessary, and selfishness to an extreme degree, and self-preservation, and the ability to not think about people that aren't right in front of your face.
Yeah.
And then once they get in front of your face, just complaining that they want to take jobs and have the audacity to want to eat.
Such a narrow reading of religion to justify needless deaths.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to pick a different topic.
Yeah.
Because I would like to have a
the
little more
bubblegum
fun.
heist is going to be really cool.
I get really stressed that I want to not be serious, because it's not the, I don't know, I want to be reverent, but at the same time, I'm trying to make this like an enjoyable commute.
Yeah.
And it's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough.
But if you want to, if you're into this podcast for some righteous indignation, I feel like this had that in spades. You know?
Yeah. No, full of that. But yeah, I got eczema this week. This stressed me out. I got hives from this. Those aren't the same thing, but I did get hives. Maybe from this. I don't know.
Hard to say.
Life is lifing.
Life is, life is acting upon us.
Is acting upon us. But yeah, next week's your turn.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Live it up.
Just a couple of third-degree burns. No big deal.
Go off, Queen. Yeah. please listen, tell your friends, leave a review, do all those things. Welcome to Germany. We have a weirdly significant amount of German listeners lately.
Oh, yeah. Hi. Welcome.
Welcome, Germany.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do enjoy making this podcast, even though we are always very sleepy these days.
Yeah. One day we will have sleep.
One day we'll get ahead.
Yeah.
But we love you.
Yep.
We'll talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening, and a big thanks to Carsey Blanton for the theme music. You can follow the podcast everywhere at Yeet the Rich Pod. You can email us your suggestions for future episodes at yeettherichpod@gmail. You can follow me at TheFunnyWalsh, and you can follow Danny at DMoss315. See you next week.